Okay. So, according to StreamYard, I'm live. Now I just gotta wait for YouTube to let you know that I'm live, and then we can officially begin with this evening festivities because you all know what's about to happen next. There it is. So, YouTube has now notified all of you all that I am live. So, in mere moments, the chat should be filling up. Whoever wants to come hang out live, and then we will begin the festivities with another episode of VypDrive. Jay Mooga, what's going on, man? How you doing, man? How you doing? I see you out there. I see you. Gwendolyn G. What's up, Gwendolyn? Alex Jackson out there. Joseph Hardison, what's going on? How y'all doing? Gabriel Black. Tech for your needs. All of y'all out there. Oh, my goodness. Look at all y'all. Woo. Y'all don't waste no time. I feel you. Digital Flame, what's going on, man? How you doing? What is up? All right, so we got 11 people in the chat. The rest of the people can come when they come. Let's go ahead and get this party started. What are we on? 104? Oh, my Lord, they are stacking up. These episodes are stacking up. So, this is VypDrive episode 104. And oh, boy, we got a professional on deck, baby. We got the stream doctor himself, EposVox, in the building. And he's coming up on VypDrive, which starts now. What's up, people? This your boy Viper, the man about tech, and welcome back to another episode of VypDrive. This is the podcast about tech, hosted by the man about tech. And tonight, I have a streaming professional in the building. I got the stream professor himself, a tech educator, a dude with one of the most smooth voices in the tech space today. Let me bring in my man, Adam, a.k.a. EposVox is here. What's up, man? How you doing?
That might be the most epic intro I've ever had.
Hello. Hello. Thank you for joining me, man. How you doing?
Thank you. Doing all right.
I'm glad to hear. Thank you for the time, man. I appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
No doubt. And for those of y'all watching the podcast now, do y'all see his background with the PlayStation sound? Does it not look so nice and crispy? Good God. Woo!
Are you ready for me to blow your mind, though?
Oh, go ahead. Oh, he got the scenes on deck. Oh, my Lord. He got like 3 cameras going. Wow. Oh, nope. They got 4 cameras. Jeez. See, I told y'all we got a streaming professional. The man has a multi-cam setup in this stream tonight for this podcast, which is mind-blowing. I'm sorry that you guys on audio can't see what's happening here, but he has 4 cameras set up. He can change the scenes at the push of a button. It's kind of crazy. But again, thank you for joining me. So, EposVox, first question I ask everybody who comes on here for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
What brought you to YouTube?
Oh, dear. Okay. Originally, what brought me to YouTube was sharing video game clips from an old service called Xfire. It's kind of like Steam, but it didn't have Game Store. It just had screenshots and clans and nerdy stuff. And a lot of people were using that to upload clips of video games and didn't know how to move it over to YouTube when YouTube launched. And I was, of course, the nerd that knew how to do that. And so I started uploading those clips and getting all that moved over. And then I saw that it could become something more, did a lot of gaming stuff for a while, and then found my kind of flow with showing other people how to upload and stream and all of that. And so I've been through many phases of what I actually focus on, but I've been around a while.
Now, when you say a while, how long have you been on YouTube?
What year is it? 14 years now?
Woo! Wow.
12, like, more seriously, and then only full-time for, I want to say, 3 years now, I think.
Okay. All right. Yeah, man, I guess I've seen you around. I think the first time I became familiar with you was, I think, a couple of years ago when you were on a live stream with our buddy John Prosser from Front Page Tech. So yeah, man, I consumed your content. I definitely watch a lot of your content when I was researching the microphone that I'm currently using tonight, which is the Shure. Watch your videos on that. Oh yeah, man, you are the man when it comes to like doing research and finding out particulars about a product. You are the man.
Thank you.
No problem. No problem. So stream professor, right? That is like on YouTube we talk about coming into a niche. that's about as niche as it gets. So how did you like decide to hunker down into talking about and teaching people how to stream properly?
Honestly, I kind of fell into it by accident. I back when I was doing gameplay stuff, I started OBS came out. Like there was before OBS, there was a lot of really kind of funky ways to stream and record gameplay, and it was all really messy. And OBS came out, and it was free, and it was relatively easy to set up for a free program. I was like, hey, I want to make some videos on that. And for about a year, I had made tutorials off and on, still figuring out this whole tutorial thing. But it was becoming very clear that those and a couple other tech videos I experimented with were consistently my most viewed content. And so over the second half of 2014, leading up to Christmas 2014, I kind of struggled a bit because I really liked making the gaming videos, but it was literally a difference of like 20 views to multiple thousands of views on the tech videos. And so finally that Christmas, I was like, all right, I got to cut off the bleeding limb and just focus on tech. And I haven't really looked back. It's been a blast, and OBS has kind of always been at the forefront of what I cover, but I do a lot of other tech stuff. But it was just clear that, you know, no one else was doing it at the time. There's obviously more streaming channels now, but I like to think that I've been around longer and I know what I'm doing.
I think you have definitely carved out your position in the streaming professional niche as far as finding out how to stream properly, what tool to use to stream and things like that. I remember talking to you over a year ago because I was trying to figure out how to use OBS for Mac. Right. And at the time, I think they were into OBS and then there was OBS Streamlabs, but the OBS for Streamlabs only worked on Windows. It didn't work on Mac yet. But I think about a few months ago, they finally released an OBS StreamYard version for Mac. So let's talk about that a little bit. Why is it, Adam? Why is it that there aren't more live streaming programs for Mac? Why is everything on Windows, it seems like?
So here's, honestly, I consider it completely ironic because when it comes to the like super professional, like industry level broadcast and video scene, everything is done on Mac. Everything is done on Mac. You rarely see Windows computers.
Right.
But due to, I think, a mix of gaming stuff primarily running on Windows and the more cheap factor when it comes to building devices for Windows, it became a lot easier to support Windows out of the gate, appeal to the wider audience of, you know, game streaming was really what kind of democratized live streaming like we're doing now. Like what we're doing now didn't exist 8 years ago other than on that professional level. And it wasn't until we saw more of this weird, you know, gaming stuff come up that then brought this more indie level broadcast to the forefront. And so I think it comes down to that was the easiest to support, the quickest at first, whenever everyone was getting off the ground with streaming. And then it's a struggle for them to find the resources to also develop for Mac and things like that. It's one of those chicken and the egg. We don't have enough users on this platform, so we can't justify it. But if you're not developing for the platform, of course, you're not going to have the users on the platform to develop for. So it's really obnoxious. I wish both Mac and Linux would get a lot more support because it's kind of ridiculous that you can edit an entire, you know, you can film, edit, and produce an entire actual Hollywood film on Mac or a sports broadcast. But then when you want to do like this kind of chat, it's way more difficult unless you have hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, it's real. Like I said, there are very few actual live streaming programs for Mac. Now, we know that there are some that they're starting to become more prevalent on Mac because obviously I'm on StreamYard tonight, and StreamYard works for both Windows and Mac. There's now a Mac-only application called Ecamm, which I just became familiar with a few days ago.
I saw Curtis Judd talking about that.
Yeah, that's a live streaming platform only on Mac right now. So, I mean, finally, it does seem like companies are starting to realize that, hello, we're over here on Mac. You might want to cater to us. We need something to live stream with, Adam. Where we at? We here, finally.
Yeah. And honestly, OBS is losing a lot of market share this way because that, and even you have program like Twitch, they have their own broadcast studio app that's, you know, like a really dumbed down version, but that has the ability to get your system sound for your alerts or for your music you're playing or anything like that. OBS still doesn't ship with anything like that. And so we're starting to see a lot of innovation kind of circle around OBS to where it's going to become a lot less relevant on Mac. And that's kind of frustrating.
But Adam, I'm glad you brought up that Twitch platform that they have going on because ironically, it only works on PC unless they change it over the past.
No, they just released the beta for Mac. That's what I'm.
Okay.
It's one of the only ways you can actually get your computer sound on Mac, and they just released the beta for it. So pretty much OBS is just like falling behind, and it's really disappointing.
Yeah, that is interesting. I didn't know that Twitch finally released the Mac version because when it came out originally, it was only PC.
Yep.
So now that's good that they finally recognize that,
Yeah.
we game on Mac too. There are Mac people that need that access, so that's good. But that you do bring up a good point that with all these live streaming services popping up, like you said, OBS is kind of falling behind because my big problem with OBS, Adam, was that it was just way too damn complicated. I'm like, you got all these dials and settings and things you need to regulate and set up, stream keys and all this stuff. I'm like, dude, I just want to hit go live. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
But I know a lot of high level streamers, they've been using OBS for a long time. But for somebody like me that just wants to hit a button and go, like I do now,
right?
OBS was a little bit too complicated. So hopefully they figure out a way to streamline it so it's easier for people that want to use it in the future. Because right now it's still way too complicated.
Yeah, I feel you. And honestly, I have not. Like, it's been on my list forever because I have an infinite to-do list for content, but to look at StreamYard and just seeing what you're doing right now with this, I'm kind of sold on it.
All right. Yo, StreamYard is amazing. I mean, obviously, I think StreamYard supports, I think they support LinkedIn, they support Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. I mean, they got the whole gamut covered. And basically, you just put in your account information and then they take care of the rest.
Right.
I hit go live and it automatically goes out to whatever platform that you are connected to. And you can stream to multiple platforms at a time with StreamYard as well. So StreamYard definitely has it covered. My favorite thing about StreamYard, of course, is the fact that I can bring in guests. And it used to be only up to 6 guests, but now they extended it to 10. So, there's about to be a party going on in here, baby, for real.
And the thing you were doing at the start where you can like highlight the comments and stuff, like that would be so much work to do on most other streaming programs.
Right, but I could just hit a button and boom, we got El Jefe out there. Yep,
that's sick.
Doubt. Speaking of hitting buttons, shout out to Shannon for the super chat. Thank you, Shannon. I appreciate you supporting me, no doubt. Also, shout out to the 23 you all that are watching the podcast live tonight. Thank you for hanging out with me and my man EposVox. Appreciate you guys. If you want to support the podcast, you have the option to super chat like Shannon. You also can become a channel member, or you can buy me a coffee. That link is in the description. None of this stuff is required, but anything that you're willing to do, greatly appreciated as always. Shout out to those of y'all that are listening on audio only this week. Thank you for listening to another episode of VypDrive with EposVox and me this week. That's right. I appreciate you guys rocking out each and every week on the audio side. If you want to support the podcast, there will be links in the show notes to do that. Not required, but if you're willing to do that, it would be greatly appreciated. Also, if you happen to be listening on Apple Podcasts, please consider leaving a rating or review because I'm trying to get this podcast back into the top 200 of tech podcasts. So a rating or review goes a long way to getting this podcast back into the top 200 on Apple Podcasts and on the tech space. So please consider doing that. Thank you guys for rocking out with me. I appreciate you. So Adam, Elgato released they released a couple of new products recently. Microphones. They released the Wave 1 and the Wave 3. Now I think I was watching a little bit of your review. I was watching a little bit of your review earlier on the Wave 1 and Wave 3. But for the people watching and the people listening to this podcast, can you please explain the difference between the Wave 1 and the Wave 3?
It really just comes down to having more controls on the mic itself. The Wave 3 has a dial you click in and you can control your mic gain, you can control your headphone level, and then you can control the balance of what you hear between like your computer sound playing back through your mic and your actual mic preview. And then it has a mute button on top, whereas the Wave 1 just has the mute button on the front, and that's it. And that's literally all the number difference is the 3 controls versus the 1 control. Otherwise, they're identical microphones. And so it's really kind of, for some people, it may seem pointless to buy the Wave 3 because they're not going to use any of those controls. And then for some people, they don't understand why they made the Wave 1 because they do the same thing. So, but they're basically like in terms of the actual microphone, they're identical.
Got you. Now, these Elgato microphones are not just your typical normal microphones. They actually have a built-in mixer, like where you can go into your computer and control the EQs and things like that virtually, which is pretty cool because that's a big deal for people like me who like to elevate my voice a lot. So now these might have built-in settings to where if I want to go amplify my voice a little bit, it doesn't clip. So I think that's pretty cool, Adam.
That clip guard feature is actually really impressive, and pretty much no other microphone comes with it. There's a couple microphones that have something sort of similar, but not quite as good. But it's recording 2 different tracks at once, and one is really, really quiet. And so when you start screaming, it just kind of switches over, and it's super seamless. It's really impressive. And by the way, those mics support Mac right out of the box.
Yeah, right. Shout out to Elgato. Yes, absolutely. Not only do they support Mac, those are USB mics as well. Those, you don't need no XLR for any of those. Just plug it straight into the computer and go. Yep, one cable. Beautiful. I mean, obviously I'm using this, sure, but I mean that mic is kind of intriguing just for the clip guard feature alone. I don't know, man. I'm thinking about it. I don't know, but yeah, I love my Shure too much though. This is my baby.
Yeah, it's hard to go back once you're set up with that.
Oh, absolutely. Speaking of mic, what mic are you using tonight?
I am using a mic called the Deity S Mic 2. It is a shotgun mic. The original goal with this setup was to have it completely off camera, so because I have issues with my camera's autofocus, like I'm not even really in focus right now. I'm still trying to figure this out. Sony needs to work on some things. But I get a little bit more room sound, and so I haven't decided. I have my SM7B sitting in a box waiting for me to figure out like which one I want to stick with, because it's kind of complicated with all the stuff I have running here, as you can see, with all the stands and the lights and the
man, the fact that you can push a button and change what we're looking at is just mind-blowing to me, man. That's crazy. That's kind of amazing. But you said you said something about your Sony camera not having you in focus. Which one are you using?
This is the A6400, and like it's great, and I've never had an issue with it until I put it in this room, and I don't know if it's the lights behind me or when I have something else in frame. Like right now, it's only focused on this, even though it has face detect autofocus, and it even like registers your face so it knows who it's looking for. I've had it for almost a year now, and until I've put it here, I've literally never had an issue with the autofocus, and now suddenly it just wants to stick on other things instead of my face. It's really weird.
It is interesting that you're having that issue, because as most of the people that are watching or listening to this podcast know, right now I am streaming on a Sony A7 III, and I have this Shure mic, but usually I have it in a much more a more elevated position. But I was having so many issues with the lens I'm using on this Sony A7 III, like picking up the mic and not me, and it was putting me out of focus. So I finally figured out a way with the help of Gerald Undone to reposition the mic in such a way that it does now it doesn't interfere with the camera focusing on my face, so it looks a lot better. But yeah, it's amazing how just the microphone can knock your entire focus off when you are doing these streams or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, even weirder, my main webcam setup for my desk downstairs when I'm doing tutorials and stuff, I have the A7S II, and then I think I have the same lens you just upgraded to, the G Master 28mm. And when I have it wide open, it keeps focusing on my shirt instead of my face. And and it's literally like my face will be blurry and my shirt will be completely crisp. And I'm just like, this was supposed to be an upgrade. No.
Right.
Autofocus is a pain sometimes.
It really is. It's funny because I actually owned the A6400 for one day, but then the opportunity presented itself for me to get an A7 III. I jumped on it. And
I don't blame you.
The rest is history. But I did have the A6400 for a day, and that's a nice camera, definitely.
Oh, yeah. It's been pretty great overall. I just hope I can get me in focus one day.
Now, speaking of cameras, since I know you cover all types of gear, I'm pretty sure you're aware that Sony just released the ZV-1. Any thoughts on that one?
It looks pretty cool for what it is. I actually have one coming in for review in a week, I think.
Okay.
It's my first time officially reviewing a Sony camera that they've sent and stuff, so that'll be pretty cool. It's a very small sensor compared to, the A7 III is a full frame. This is APS-C. This is a little 1-inch sensor, so it's much smaller. I think people need to they look at that and they think it's equivalent to whatever other Sony cam they're used to seeing, and so that you got to temper your expectations a little bit. But the product focus, autofocus thing that they had, that everyone keeps showing off, I was watching that. I think it was a Philip Bloom's video. Like, that is perfect for tech videos when you literally you just want to be like, here's the thing I'm looking at. Focus on that. Focus back on me. Here's this. Focus back on me. And whatever. And so depending on how it looks, I may end up buying one for myself for this, like for my side angle or something. So I can, whenever I'm just like talking about something, I can just be like, whoa, switch back and forth. And
right.
But that's kind of the main good thing about it. Like, it's got that cool autofocus, but it doesn't have really great stabilization. It's a smaller sensor. You can't change the lenses. And so it's cool for a specific niche. And I think they were Sony's someone who finds like 5 users and targets those specific users. And so they're targeting those people. But for everyone else, I'm not. And for the price, it's like you could buy a used A7S II for that price and get a much bigger sensor and nicer camera. So it's really cool, but it's like $800, and that's quite a lot for a small camera like that. I don't know.
Yeah, you definitely make a good point. For $800, there's a lot of options out there. Definitely. So we about to have a camera war in the chat because my man Lover Tech is telling you to get a Fuji X-T4.
I have been really. I was talking to them for a review, and they're like super flaky with communication. I was supposed to be reviewing one because they released a webcam app for it, so that you can use it without a capture card for streaming and stuff, which seemed pretty cool. But the only Fuji camera I have ever owned so far is an X-T10, which is like really old and doesn't do video stuff very well. But I've heard wonderful things about Fuji. They have really good colors, and then the new X-T4 seems pretty cool. But I have all Canon and some Sony glass, so switching entire camera bodies is always just kind of like, do I want to do that? Do I want to make a big step like that? Because I got my big Ursa back there that shoots Canon. So
nice. So I think it was about a year ago. I watched a video of yours, which is definitely about to become more near and dear to my heart. Uh-oh. You did a complete comparison of like 4 or 5 different gaming chairs.
Mm-hmm.
And you were thorough AF. I was like, damn. But you did a complete breakdown of each chair. You like which position. You talked about the comfort, the durability, things like that.
Right.
So in your opinion, right now today, what would you say is the best gaming chair or best chair out there for what we do as far as like editing, shooting content, things like that?
Right. I'm not too keen on specific companies because a lot of them are just like there's one factory that produces them and they rebrand a lot of them. Any of them that are like high quality mesh ones are generally the way to go. And I think everyone's starting to see that. There's a company that has done gaming products for a while called Respawn that is coming out with a chair that is almost identical to the one that I ended up settling on, which is the autonomous Ergo Chair 2. But it's gaming themed and things like that, but it's supposed to be a lot cheaper. But the autonomous Ergo Chair, I'm going to get up for a second. This is weird. This style here is all over Amazon with like 6 different ones that look identical. This one has lasted me 5 years now and is phenomenal. It was a huge deal for like fixing a lot of back pain I had with normal gaming chairs originally. I don't think I could recommend, like I said, any specific company or brand, but I would look into the actual ergonomic mesh-based chairs. A lot of people think that since they're mesh, they're not going to support your back well or anything. They are actually built for that. And like I said, I've had this one for 5 years, and like it's a little looser, but it still supports me just as well as it did. This one was like $100 on Amazon. I don't think they sell this specific one anymore, but like I said, there's like 6 others that are identical to it. But I would avoid the actual general category of gaming chairs because they're meant to look cool, but not actually hold your butt for 8 hours a day. And yeah. And honestly, I see a lot of people that I knew in real life that upgraded to a big fancy gaming chair, and you just kind of see progressing over time. They just like slouch more and more and more, and they're like sitting like this, and they're like, yeah, it's totally comfortable. I'm totally not going to have back pain in 20 years. And I can't.
For those of y'all on audio, he just slouched back all the way in the chair. Okay, so recently, a lot of the one chair that a lot of people seem to have gotten and have been really comfortable with is Secret Lab chairs. I don't know if you know about the Secret Lab chair, but
I've seen them.
Those seem to be the new hot thing, and I was looking at one of those. But you're like just avoid gaming chairs in general,
huh? I mean, if you have the opportunity, and I know that's weird with COVID and stuff right now, find like a Staples or an Office Depot or something like that and try out the different, because chairs themselves, like the individual units don't matter so much as the style of chair. And so if you can go try one that looks like the one you're trying to buy and like really sit in it and pay attention to how your back is supported and how you might sit for long-term use, then you can kind of really evaluate for yourself, because there's a lot of people that the Secret Lab style chair is probably perfect for. But then there's a lot of people who want to sit a particular way that will not support. And you're going to get there and you're going to have to lean back or whatever and may not like it. And so I always recommend trying the style of chair or as close to the actual chair you're buying multiple times, even before, keep going back a couple times, especially for the expensive ones, before you invest all that money, because it's going to be a nightmare, if not impossible, to try to return something like that. Because every gaming chair every chair I've ever had, the box, by the time you get it built, the box is destroyed. The parts are everywhere. Like taking that back apart is a nightmare, and trying to mail that back, it's like 80 pounds. That's you're not going to return it.
No, then not at all. You're right about that. Damn that.
Yeah.
Damn that. No way. Woo. So obviously your thing is streaming.
Right.
I'm sure you do a lot of streaming. What is your streaming platform of choice? I'm guessing it's Twitch.
Currently Twitch, yes. I do some streams on YouTube as well, mainly that are formatted as shows specifically for my channel, not just casual streaming.
Right.
I'm not too like they all have their pros and their cons and their quirks. For some audiences, I know a lot of people have issues with it, and totally fine. For some audiences, Facebook has been really successful, especially in other countries. Like Brazil has had an explosion of Facebook gaming streamers, all streaming Fortnite and things like that. And it's just been this like really tight knit community, and it's been really cool to see. But then in the States, hardly anyone watches Facebook streams, and Twitch has always been the kind of like I've been streaming on Twitch since the Justin TV days before it was even Twitch. And so it's kind of been the reliable, like it's always been around. Everyone knows to go to it kind of thing. And that's where all my followers are. But there have been other sites that were more innovative in some ways. Like I really liked some of what Mixer was doing, and now Mixer's going away. So if you want something reliable, the big YouTuber Twitch is generally the way to go, just because they're going to be around at least for now. But I still recommend people trying out new platforms when they come up, because that's how people find unexpected success. Like the first people that jumped on TikTok or Vine or whatever made entire careers out of it. So yeah, I'm still a Twitch guy though for now. There's some issues with it, but I'm sticking to it. I don't want to move all my followers. I've been building them up for like 10 years.
Right. And as we know, Adam, being creators, when you get on a platform, you want to make content natively for that platform. You don't want to try to move people back and forth, because they're not moving.
Right.
They are comfortable on their platform. So if you're on Twitch and you try to get people over to YouTube, you're going to have a hard time. If you're on YouTube trying to get people over to Twitch, you're going to have a hard time. You gotta make the content native to that platform and make those people as comfortable as possible, and then just work from there.
Right. Once you build up a big enough audience, some will follow you some places, but the drop off is insane, especially when there is like platform loyalty going on. Like there's Twitch and YouTube are like household name enough that if someone goes and looks for like random video content, they're not going to find some obscure site to watch it on. They're going to YouTube first. If they want to watch game streams, they're going to Twitch first. They may go watch X person on another website, but the vast majority of people are first finding the site and then the person. And it's really, you got to build what they're looking for. And there's a whole lot of hashtag small streamer communities that build up on these new sites. And I don't like being negative about it, but there's this like weird paradox of they only want it to be like small creators on this site because it builds that family feeling, but they somehow expect to grow that way. When
right.
If there's no one there, there's no one there. There's no one to watch you. You can't just all watch each other forever.
Right.
That's like if you and I just decided we were only going to support each other and just keep watching each other's videos. No one else is still watching our videos. Like,
right. That's not going to work.
Yeah. And so it's really tough, because I want there to be competition. I want there to be innovation, and I want there to be opportunities for people to go in different directions. But it's hard when the average person going to find that content isn't going to those places.
You're right about that. Speaking of, Adam, do you believe that YouTube will ever have a true competitor? Because as much as Twitch is doing, I don't really see Twitch as a competitor to YouTube. So will YouTube ever get an actual competitor?
So I've talked about this off and on for years. My answer is kind of twofold, because I believe YouTube already has multiple competitors, and that is in the form of Twitch, in the form of TikTok, in the form of Instagram. Technically, YouTube's competing with normal broadcast TV. But what people, I think, don't understand about that question is they want a YouTube clone. They want YouTube 3 that looks and acts exactly like YouTube, but isn't technically, isn't owned by Google, has other changes or whatever. And we've seen time and time again that doesn't work. We've seen VidMe. There was another one that shut down, Vessel. There's been quite a few video sites that come up. I mean, Vimeo is still around and Dailymotion are still around, but you probably have never met a person that actually watches anything on those sites.
Right.
And between the cost for bandwidth and storage and all of that, the infrastructure required, and the, like we just talked about, the household name of it, I don't think we're going to see a uploaded long form video site that looks and acts like YouTube compete with YouTube. No. But the real competition comes in where people's attention and their watch time is. And there are a lot of people who stopped watching uploaded videos and went and watched live streams. There was an entire like shift whenever Twitch really became popular of content creators who made only uploaded videos shifting to making live content. That is technically competition. That is serious competition when you have major like million subscriber channels no longer posting over here, and instead they're streaming over here. It's not, you know, if you want to watch, like say I want to watch your videos but on a better website, I'm not really going to get that, but it's still a competing site and competing for audiences, and it still requires them to innovate. Like we've seen Patreon like features get introduced to YouTube. YouTube's live streaming tech overall is actually really good. The viewer kind of engagement side is not super great compared to something like Twitch, but their live streaming tech is way better than Twitch's in most cases. They have that beat. And then you see now we got stories on YouTube and things like that to compete with all the mobile platforms. Like that is still competition. That is still taking viewers away, and it's still driving feature changes across each other. I just don't think, like, it doesn't make sense financially for any company to show up and think that they're just going to replace YouTube, because Google, like it wasn't even profitable for Google for like 10 years. So we can't really expect anyone else to be able to pull it off if Google can't. I mean, you could argue maybe Amazon, but they don't seem to want to. Twitch had uploaded features and they kind of stopped supporting them.
Yeah. I think sometimes Twitch gets confused about what it wants to do and how it wants to enforce what it wants to do. Is they're all over the place.
Yeah. I think that's normal these days.
But you brought up an excellent point about even though I said that I don't see a true YouTube competitor, you did bring up an excellent point about Twitch. They are actually competition for YouTube, because I mean, good Lord, we got YouTube and Twitch battling over streaming. They're paying Ninja $30 million to be exclusively on Mixer, and paying Dr. Disrespect exclusively to be on Twitch, and it's just all sorts of stuff going on. It's type of crazy. So yeah, there's definitely competition going on, no doubt about it.
Right. And those people still post videos to YouTube, but those videos are essentially marketing for their Twitch or for their Mixer or whatever. It's, you know, it's not really a YouTube presence in the same regard.
Right.
And I lost my train of thought.
Oh, anything and everything can happen when you're live.
Yep.
That's what I love about live streams, man. You just don't know. You just don't know.
Oh, good. Go ahead.
Microphones. Obviously, you've used a ton of them.
Wait,
I'm curious. What is your favorite one ever?
Ooh.
It's
a close battle. I think my favorite microphone ever is my Sennheiser MKH416. It's another shotgun mic. It's used for, you know, on camera stuff like this, but also in vocal booths for actual voiceover and things like that. It has this really just rich low end presence that works really well for my voice. It rejects a lot of side noise. It was the first microphone I probably had ever used in my career where I turned it on, record it, and the raw recording within it blew my mind. Like typically mics sound their best after you've processed them a little bit, pulled a little bit better sound out of them, you know, tweaked it to get it to sound exactly right. This one, I turned it on and was immediately like, whoa, I sound like this. This is pretty cool. And so it's been my favorite for a long time. I wish I could get more. They're pretty expensive. They're like $1,000 new. Mine, I was grateful enough to get from Sennheiser as a review unit from a really nice contact there who no longer works there, unfortunately. But I really wish I could equip every setup with that mic because it's just so nice. But that's definitely been my favorite so far.
Cool. Yeah, I've heard good things about the Sennheiser mics. Obviously, Deity on the rise. I talked to them a few weeks ago on a live stream. They're doing big things. Sure, it's been around forever and ever. Amen. I want to talk about Rode though, but not really the mic. I know you are familiar with the Rodecaster Pro, which is like I don't even know how to describe it. It's some type of like, it's like an all-in-one podcast interface like type machine. It's $600, and everybody who's used one and owned one swears by it. I want to know, why do people love this thing so much?
So, are you familiar with the Go XLR as well?
I've heard of it. I think it's like something similar, right?
Yeah. So I wonder if you can actually see this. You can't. So this little group of lights right here, this is the Go XLR. It's kind of like the Rodecaster Pro. They are a mixer, an audio interface, and in the Rodecaster Pro option, it is also an audio like field recorder where it can record internally, all in one. And so you can have multiple microphones for a multi-person podcast setup. You can mix it. You can process your voice all in this one box. It's really high quality. In the Go XLR's case, it has cool like voice effects. Like I can go hello and then hello, play it back. I can bleep myself, all this crazy stuff. And the Rodecaster, since it has more of the podcasting focus where you have the multi-track, you have audio processing and all of that, it's just not something we've had in the affordability space. And $600 sounds like really expensive, but the next competitor to something like the Rodecaster Pro was easily multiple thousands of dollars before that came out. They were these big 4-foot long mixer units, consoles that people would use for big broadcast setups, and they made it super affordable comparatively and super small. And honestly, it's hard to beat either one depending on your purpose. The Go XLR is more intended for like streaming and only one person and all that. The Rodecaster is more podcasting, multi-person, things like that. It's just a really nice, convenient package if that's what your needs are. If you're just putting one microphone into a computer and streaming it, you don't need that. You just need a basic audio interface and you're good to go. But for big multi-person podcasting setups, it is really hard to beat it because the alternative is much bigger, much noisier, much more expensive, and just kind of really handy.
Well, most of the people I know are just one-person production, but they love the hell out of that thing.
Yeah.
I'll consider getting one, but I'm like, do I really? Can I really like use it? Like, I don't know. Like,
it's one of those you have to like learn how to use it in order to figure out if you even want to use it, like if it's even useful for you. It's tough as someone who's an educator trying to explain it all, because there are certain products like that where it's like, if you don't know why you want it or need it right now, I don't know that I can tell you that you do, because like you have to have the ideas going for it to really make sense sometimes.
Right. Yeah, especially when you're shelling out that much money, you definitely want to know what you need it for and how you're going to use it. No doubt. No doubt.
Because that's what it's the worst thing, seeing like someone who wants to start up their YouTube career and drops like $2,000 on all this gear. They don't know how to use it. They don't know why they have it. And then they're disappointed that they can't get 1 million subs in like 6 months with it. And,
oh, we can talk about that all day. So, I want to, like I said, I want to go back to talking about streaming, because I know that that's your thing. You're a big stream professor. So, what are some tips that you would give for somebody that's just like starting out streaming and who wants to be a streamer and things like that? What are some things that you would tell new streamers?
I would definitely say to not overdo it. Something I see people starting out streaming, especially on Twitch and things like that, is they immediately jump to doing like 8 hours a day every day until they pass out. And it's like, the more I stream, the more successful I'll be, right? Because in a way, streaming platforms, they only really reward or like see an influx in your metrics if you're live. You know, how many viewers do you have? How many subscribers did you get while you were live? How many people did follow you while you were live? But that's incredibly unhealthy. That's super toxic to literally have to be performing every day, all day. And that's the only way you can find reward out of what you're doing. I mean, you're a video creator. If you were just recording videos 24/7, you would burn out so quickly. Like, as much as we love creating, there's so many other aspects to it that like you're building with. And we get the benefit as uploaded videos of getting to upload it, sit there and watch it grow. You know, the algorithm takes it and grows it and you get subscribers and comments. You don't have to only the 5 minutes that your video watch time is before it's done. That's all the viewership you get. It's not the same way. I would definitely recommend looking at streaming as long as you, I guess ultimately I want people to figure out if they actually want to be a streamer or stream just for fun, because there is a big difference, and I don't think everyone recognizes it, because there's a lot of people who jump in who honestly really want to come home from work like 2 days a week, stream for their friends, go to bed, but then they're all obsessed with all these like how to grow quickly strategies that burn them out. When if that's all you want out of it, if you just want like a small knit community, you don't really have to do all this crazy other stuff. You can just stream and have fun and not think about it too much. But if you're actually wanting to do it as like a career opportunity, then you have to look at it as like a multifaceted business. You have streaming, yes, but you also need to be fostering your social media presence and uploading YouTube videos. You need to be finding a way to turn that stream content into content for YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or whatever the kids are on these days, and posting it in different ways and finding ways to build up. Because these days, you're not just a YouTuber, you're not just a streamer, you're not just a Viner. I know Vine's dead. You're not just on this one platform. You're a creator on the internet, and people expect content from you from every way. Like if someone follows you on Twitter, it's not because they want to see what you're doing in your house when you're not working. It's because they want additional content from you. Even though it's text-based or maybe image-based, it's still content and the same kind of communication, and that's what your viewers are expecting. And a lot of people truly, truly believe, because that's how like the first people did it, that they'll just get to turn on their Xbox, go play Call of Duty 8 hours a day, and think nothing else of it, and still grow a following. And it's not that simple. Like it's really not. It doesn't work that way.
No, like I said, I'm glad you put it just the way you put it, because it's crazy how like people that don't do what we do, people that don't create, it's crazy the way they think about creators and what we do and how we do it. They think that what we do is so easy, Adam. They think we just put out videos and we just turn on the camera and stream and that's it. No, that is not it. There's a lot more that goes into it than what you see. There are things that are happening in the background and the back end. There's the pressure that we face to like do like the pressure that we put on ourselves as far as metrics and numbers. I mean, there's so much that goes into it that the viewer just doesn't see or understand. And so I'm glad you put it the way you put it, man. There's a lot that goes into this.
Yeah, a lot of people look at a 10-minute video and they're like, "That video is only 10 minutes long. It only took 20 minutes to make, right?" But I mean, for most of my career, that's changed since I've had a baby and barely get to work at all now. But for most of my career, like I work like 80-hour work weeks. Like I work more than most people with real jobs to make this happen. And I don't think people understand the investment. And same thing with streaming. Like, yeah, you have those 3, 4, 8, if you're crazy, hour streams. And those are exhausting hours. Like you are on camera performing for multiple hours at a time. Whereas we get to take breaks. We get to shoot for an hour, come back, eat lunch, shoot another video, whatever. But you're not done then. Like, yeah, you can maybe take a break for that day, but then you got to go figure out what you're posting on your other social media platforms. You got to manage your Discord server. You got to respond to business emails. Like I spend so much time on email alone. And I don't think enough people go in with the real expectation of what it's like. And like I said, for a lot of people, they don't want to do any of that. And that's fine. But you can't obsess over becoming the next Ninja without understanding that Ninja runs a massive business. Like the two aren't separate. Ninja doesn't just sit there playing Fortnite all day. That's not what he does. Right. He's doing so much else.
A lot. Yeah, like you said, it's like if you want to be successful and like grow, it is a multifaceted business. Like you said, people don't understand the business aspect. There's emails, there's like optimizing your content to be successful on whatever platform you're on. Right. There's just so much that goes into it that people just don't understand. So I'm glad you phrased it the way you phrased it, because man, it is it's not easy.
Yeah, my camera turned off. Technology.
See, and the beauty of technology is that I'm going to edit that out on the audio version. All good. It's all good, man. Woo. So what are you working on these days? What do you got coming up on the in the EposVox pipeline?
Oh dear. I've got a few more of those generic capture cards. Like those have been people have been asking more about the little like $15 capture cards.
Yeah.
So I've got some more reviews of those because people took the impression from that as, okay, that capture card's $15. So obviously all the $200 capture cards are just ripoffs. They're just scamming us, right? And there's a lot of problems with them. And I want to cover that a little bit more clearly because I thought they were obvious, but not everyone saw it. And I have had a couple that are really, really bad. I've been working a lot on building up this whole room, this whole stream setup. It's still a mess back there because I just finished building this whole TV stand setup. But working on building my own stream setup so I can start streaming again, because things have been, like I said, really slow with the baby. I've been trying to work on this big paid streaming course behind the scenes for a while. That got put on hold a little bit, but I am super stoked for that. And then, like I said, I've got that Sony camera coming in that I'm really excited to play with.
Okay.
And then I have a 2 years with my big cinema camera back there video finally coming. It was supposed to be like a year with this camera, like a review after the fact, and then they got put off and delayed, and so now it's 2 years with. But just talking about, like, for someone as crazy as me who just does YouTube stuff, upgrading to something like that, like, you know, what the experience was like, what the why you maybe shouldn't do it or should do it, and things like that, because not a lot of people talk about that. They're just like, hey, this guy got a red camera, he's balling, that's great, when it's not just like magically upgrading everything.
Ooh, let's dig into that a little bit more, because obviously, I mean, we're doing YouTube, we're putting videos out on YouTube, and YouTube is going to compress the hell out of the video anyway.
Right.
But you got some creators that put out videos in 1080p. I do it most of the time because I'm trying to go for speed and things. I want things to happen quickly.
Right.
You got some creators that put videos out in 4K. You got some people like Jonathan Morton and MKBHD that shoot content in damn near 8K, but obviously you can't put it out on 8K on YouTube. You can only put it out, I think 4K is the max right now on YouTube.
You can do 8K. I've done a few 8K videos myself.
So YouTube can output 8K video now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I did not
even
know
in
that.
60 FPS too.
Wow.
Not everybody can play it back. But...
Right. So you said you got the cinema camera and you've had it for a couple of years now.
Yep.
So I guess my question is why? When you know that when you put that on YouTube, when you put that content on YouTube, it's gonna compress the hell out of the quality of the image. So why did you upgrade to that type of camera?
It comes down to primarily control. Like this camera right here, this is a Panasonic G7. I'm very limited in what I can do with it, brightness-wise, color-wise, how long it can record. There's a lot of limitations that I quickly ran into when it came to how I wanted to produce content. And a cinema camera lets you record indefinitely. You can shoot. I like shooting in RAW, which means, like raw photos, basically, which means I get complete control over my image. I have a lot of issues with my pale skin tone not really showing up properly on camera sensors, and having that raw sensor data helps me improve it. And then I get to actually control like how I actually use it. Like I'm actually going to grab it real quick. 1 second. I'm going to bring it over here.
All right. For those y'all listening on audio, he is grabbing his cinema camera, which is obesely big. You guys should see how big this thing is. I think it's massive.
It's like 20 pounds.
It's almost as big as he is.
Yeah. So you can see here, it's a spaghetti monster of wires. For those of you listening to audio, I have cables all over this thing with lots of modules attached.
Wow.
But this means that I get to do so much more with it because I have a monitor on top that lets me preview it. This is much bigger. Like it doesn't even have a flip out screen, but even if it did, a tiny flip out screen makes it really difficult to see whether you're in focus. But so I get to see all of that. I get audio recorded, like high quality audio directly recorded into the camera. So I don't necessarily need an audio recorder. I still use one often. But then I get complete flexibility in the image quality, in the frame rates, in the shutter speeds. Like I shoot a lot of CRT monitors, as those watching video have seen kind of in the backgrounds of these videos. That's really hard to do on the less professional cameras because you have to sync them up properly and all of that. And then I get to, wirelessly monitor it, and I get to power all of this off of this one battery. This one, it's called a V-mount battery. If I can find the button to pull it off here. This powers everything that the entire camera rig is running. Which, if you're using a little camera, you can adapt it to this and try to power everything off of this, but it's a lot more awkward than having literally everything on the back of the camera ready to go, and then it records to a standard SSD that you would pop in your computer instead of an SD card that is really tiny. You lose it. They don't hold a lot. I can put a 1 terabyte SSD in here and record everything I want. And so ultimately, it happened because, I'm a nerd. I'm a camera nerd. I like playing with this stuff. I always want to push things to the next level, and it didn't hurt that it had some added sharpness because that shoots in 4.6K, which is a little more than 4K. And so it gives me a lot bigger image quality, and that has, with a speed booster I have in it, it has essentially a full frame field of view. The speed boosters work differently on the cinema cameras. Like it's literally a lens mount replacement. It's pretty crazy. But for all of this, like advanced, Okay, if you want to think about it in terms of you really like StreamYard because you get to hit go live and things like that, I really like OBS because I get to fine tune every little number and possible setting that it goes into my video live stream. And so there's, it's kind of the difference of wanting every possible aspect of my shooting under my control versus these cameras are really nice because I can just pop it up, turn it on, and I'm ready to go. And the image is pretty good out of it overall. And so it's obviously different use cases, but there's also, it's not a linear upgrade in quality because, as you mentioned, YouTube compresses the heck out of stuff. A lot of that added sharpness or just general niceness is kind of compressed out. But the way it responds to lighting or colors or things like that, that's not really affected by compression. That's the actual image and what you can do with it. And I have always found myself to kind of push against my limitations by upgrading gear. I hate to be that person because everyone says gear doesn't matter. You don't need high quality gear. Make the most with what you have. I started with a T3i and I was never using the T3i to its fullest, but I was running into specific limitations with it that felt defeating. Certain ways that it responded to light or the images that I wanted to get. I couldn't do specific things with it. And so I stopped improving with it after a certain point because I hit a ceiling. It may not have been the ceiling of the camera, but it was a ceiling. Then I upgraded to my Panasonic little 4K cameras, and suddenly I could do so much more. There were so many cool things I could do with video that I couldn't do with the old camera that it allowed me to learn and grow more. Same thing with the cinema camera. Now, this thing could be used to shoot Netflix shows or movies. I'm shooting YouTube videos. I'm clearly not doing everything possible that it can do, but it is unlocking what I can do for more possible things. And I think that's important for some. But it's also a beefier investment. Like that camera is completely rigged out with a million different things, but each one of those things costs as much as some people are willing to put into a single camera.
Yep.
Like this one little wireless module is probably like $500. That one was a review unit, whatever, it's fine. But like the batteries themselves are like $200. Woo! It's kind of absurd. Most sane people shouldn't do this, but it's a lot of fun. Like I said, I'm a camera nerd, and so there's a lot to doing more with it.
Let me break this down for my anime nerds, like I did on my last episode. I'm gonna compare this to some type of Dragon Ball Z reference. If you got, for those of y'all that watch Dragon Ball Z or have watched Dragon Ball Z,
right?
My man Adam here, you know what? His power level could be at 9,000, but you know what? He's not satisfied. He wants to go higher. He wants to go beyond Super Saiyan. He wants power levels to reach like 1,000,000. So he puts everything on that camera to do what he got to do because he wants his power levels way through the roof, man. I got you.
That's like Kaioken times 10 right there.
There you right. There you go. Absolutely. So, that cinema camera is a Canon, correct? Or what kind?
Blackmagic Ursa Mini Pro.
Oh, Blackmagic Ursa Mini Pro. Now, have you ever used any Canon devices?
I've used their DSLRs. Like I have a 6D here, but I haven't used the C200 or anything like that. I've really wanted to, because that's another trade-off. Is at least with the Canon cameras, they have autofocus, but most cinema cameras don't have any sort of autofocus.
Oh,
and that one doesn't either. And so you have to manually focus everything, which can mean that you start out with that camera and suddenly your image is worse because you focused wrong. And I had a lot of videos like that. And so I have a little wireless follow focus system so I can focus on myself from far away. But the C200, the new C300 Mark II or whatever that just came out, those look phenomenal. But I've never personally used them. I know Gerald Undun's used a bunch of them now. They're pretty awesome looking.
Oh, man. So I can't ask you which one is better, Canon or Sony. Damn it. Damn it.
I am very camera brand agnostic. I care more about the lenses and what I can do with them. I've never understood the appeal of Canon colors. They've always made me look bad. My skin never looks good in Canon colors.
The Canon nerds are gonna come after you.
But then I prefer Sony colors for my skin tone. But then people will look at the image and be like, "Well, that's a super green image. I don't like that." And I'm like, "That's fine." But it makes me look how I think I look IRL. So that's what I seek out. And then a lot of people now prefer Fuji colors, and that's really cool. Like I said, I haven't used them, but there's especially once you start shooting raw or you start doing a lot of things more manually, like with log and all of that stuff, the actual camera you're using isn't super important anymore.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you gotta get the equipment and work with the equipment that you're most comfortable with and with what you're trying to go for, and then just go from there.
Yeah. El Jefe saying, "Where's my pitchfork?"
All right. So before we get you out of here,
Yep.
You're a tech educator. You're a stream professional. So for somebody just starting out, what is some equipment that is like that you would recommend for people that are just starting out streaming or shooting videos or whatever? What is like a camera, microphone, or whatever that you would recommend for beginners?
For a microphone, I would say the Samson Q2U. I wish I had it on hand. It's a little dynamic microphone. It'll reject a lot of your background noise. It looks a little goofy because it looks like one of those stage mics, but it sounds great. It, like I said, it's really quiet, so you don't have a ton of background noise, and you can do a lot with it. And then for cameras, the Panasonic G7's been my budget recommendation for a while. It does 4K, 1080p, clean HDMI out. Doesn't have really good autofocus at all. Like, I wouldn't even turn it on. But then more recently, Sony cams have been pulling me. Like, I have a ton now. I have multiple A5100s, the A6400, even though mine just died for some reason. I don't know what happened. It's great as well. My main webcam's an A7S II. Like, Sony cams are really great as well right now. Whatever you can reasonably afford right now, prices are all over the place. So you may just need to start with a webcam. And you can't even buy the Logitech one, so it'll be some knockoff that look like poop. Big clutch, and this is not, I'm not being paid to say this right now. I can't even pull it out, so you can't even see it. Elgato Stream Deck is a wonderful piece of kit, or some sort of macro control pad. There's a couple other options now. You can even set up an app called Touch Portal on your phone, which will do the same thing. But it is a control surface to where you can quickly, like I was doing, switch scenes with the push of a button. You can control your stream. You can start and stop. You can tweet out that you're streaming. I have multi-actions. I kind of wish I was downstairs to show this off. I have one button that turns on my camera, turns on my lights, changes the color of my backlights, and opens up OBS to the correct profile for me to start recording right away, all with one button.
What?
Pretty cool. Yeah. Because you can set up like multi-action, so you can just do like turn light on, turn light off, turn camera on, turn this on. And so I've got a whole lot set up with it. And once you start integrating that kind of thing, you get a much more professional live stream, because otherwise, a lot of the times you end up being like, okay, guys, I'll be right back. Oh, I didn't choose the right scene. Got to find the right scene. Got to click it. Oh, I clicked the wrong thing. Oh, no, I resized my camera and all of that. And having some sort of control surface, be it the Stream Deck, Touch Portal, what have you, really kind of takes you to that next step, IMO.
Wow. Me and you got to have a private chat about that Stream Deck thingy. That's interesting. All right, we've been here for about an hour. Do you have time to take a few questions, Adam? Or
sure.
All right, so I'm opening the floor up to questions for our buddy EposVox here. If you got any questions about streaming or gear, equipment, whatever, now's the time to ask them.
Or to bash your favorite camera manufacturer, apparently.
Before we get to that, I'll probably edit this out. I'll probably edit this part out in the audio version. But I know you just became a dad recently. So how's that going?
It's been pretty crazy. It was 2 months a couple days ago now. It's a big lifestyle shift. Like I have a couple hours a day to work versus like working all day every day. So it's been a big change. I've definitely had to slow a lot of things down and can't get as much done as I would like. But it's been pretty good. Like, he's cute as hell. It has its fun moments, and then it's not so fun moments, and so we're still getting used to it. We're finally starting to schedule out babysitting with the grandparents now, so that we can have some. We can't go anywhere really, but some less downtime. It's been really weird having one in the middle of a pandemic too. That's been not fun, but I can see why people find it rewarding, and we're getting to that point.
We're getting there. Okay.
Very sleepy all the time, of course.
Now, if he has your voice, you're going to be in trouble when you grow up.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to be in trouble, man. All right. First question. No doubt, man. First question from Shannon. She said, best mic for voiceover work only.
Best is tough if you are if you can sound treat your environment, build up like a mini vocal booth or put it in your closet or whatever. A big condenser microphone like the Blue Baby Bottle SL or the Lewitt. I'm actually testing this for review. It's a big, I don't have it with me. It looks like an ice cream sandwich. the Lewitt LCT 440 Pure. That thing sounds phenomenal. Like I get up on it and I'm just like, hello, and then I sound like I'm recording a movie trailer. It is really good. If you don't have the noise treatment available, I would recommend something more like the SM7B that Viper's using, or the Electro Voice RE20. If you're more on a budget, the Rode Procaster, we were just talking about Rode products. The Rode Procaster is my favorite, like $200 microphone right now still. And it's been out for a while. I got my first one back in like 2015. So it's pretty reliable. Avoid USB mics for voiceover work, IMO, unless, like, I say that and then I still recommend something like the Elgato Wave. Avoid it if you're looking to build it out overall, like super professionally. If you're just wanting to sit in one place and record stuff, they're fine. But a lot of them can get like really compressed sounding audio. So,
yeah, good advice, man. Good advice. So, Lover of Tech wants to know, when do you think we will get a Camlink 4K 60p version?
I don't know that we will anytime soon. We've seen both Elgato and AverMedia try to tackle 4K 60 over USB, and neither of them really were able to do it. We've got the Elgato 4K 60S Plus, which had to do its own encoder on board, which means it has like 3 seconds of lag, and you don't want that for live streaming. And then you have AverMedia's, which was a Thunderbolt 3 card, which if you're on a Mac is great. If you're on PC, you probably don't have Thunderbolt 3 set up. But in terms of just like a direct little USB cam link for 4K 60, I don't know that we'll see it anytime soon, just because USB itself doesn't have enough bandwidth for it.
Gotcha. All right. Founded from Renee Ritchie, about to start another war. Lord have mercy. Renee wants to know 2460, Adam. Hey, look at his face! His face!
So I'm going to stick with the everyday dad here. 30 FPS is the way to go. Unless you're shooting a movie. But I know barely anyone agrees with me, so whatever. I'm a 30 FPS guy, though.
Hey, you gotta do what works for you, man. You gotta do what works for you. All right, so Vakio wants to know, any good microphone for phones?
I'm not super big on phone stuff, so I'm not super familiar. I know there's a few like really good. I think Rode specifically. We keep talking about Rode. I think they're paying you, Viper. I think there's a couple Rode like Smart Labs and stuff that work decently on phones, but overall, I haven't seen much that works really well. And nowadays, we don't even have audio jacks.
Right.
So
yeah.
Where is the microphone going? Courage.
Woo! Let's not go there tonight. We don't have the time. Yo, shout out to Original Dobo for the super chat. He's a big fan of yours.
Hey,
all right,
nice.
What's up?
Don't know what happened to it, but I'm glad I saved it. Just maybe don't tell everyone about
it. Oh God, great. All right, Digital Slang wants to know your thoughts on the pod mic.
It's really cool. I haven't gotten to use it yet, but all of these samples I've seen and the fact that it's so much smaller than like your SM7B, like it's like half the size. It's supposed to be really cool, and it's kind of a competitor to that Procaster I recommended. I think the Procaster still sounds better, but the pod mic $499 is really, really hard to beat. Other than the value of the Q2U for like $50, but for the $100 like price tier, it's really, really good.
Gotcha. Robert back again. You want to know, what is the best mic interface for XLR into a computer? Still Behringer or something else?
The Behringer UMC 204 HD. They have terrible names. It's still really, really good. The Audient Evo 4 just released recently. I have that I'm working on a review of. It is phenomenal. And I think it's a little bit cheaper these days compared to, like, all the Behringer stuff shot up whenever the tariffs went into place. And so they're like $20 interfaces are like $60 now, and it's really hard to recommend them anymore. But I am liking the Audient Evo 4 right now.
Ooh, tariff.
Yeah.
Not cool.
Yeah.
All right, we have any more questions for EposVox before I let him go? Can't hold him back from daddyhood. Can't hold him back. Can't hold him back, y'all.
Yeah.
Speak now, forever hold your peace.
No.
Ooh. So you are currently at 240,000 on YouTube.
Yeah, just hit that last night.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
You're heading to that 300,000 pretty soon.
Hopefully. Things have been really good. It always feels really awkward to say because I know people lost their jobs. There's a lot of bad stuff happening. But with everyone being forced to work from home right now, a lot of people are interested in streaming. And so the channel has been doing really well helping people with that. And unfortunately, since I just had a kid, like I've gotten a ton of email requests for people to do like consulting and to help them like more directly for businesses and stuff. And I haven't really been able to do any of it. And I feel pretty bad for that. And some were even offering to pay me for it, but I don't have the time right now. But it's been really good getting to see like a new investment in streaming, not just from like normal people, but from musicians and artists and things like that too. So that's been pretty cool.
Yeah, I think we were in the beginning we were kind of making fun of the network people that were working from home with their home setup because they were doing it all wrong. They sounded horrible, and they have like whole production teams when they're at their network, but at home it was clear they didn't know what the hell they were doing. So I think we were kind of making fun of them. But yeah, like it's funny, like you can't find a cam link right now. Although I think they just went back and stock today. But I mean, for the longest time, you couldn't even find a cam link. Like you said, most of the webcams were sold out. It's just crazy what happened when this pandemic started. Like everything just went boop.
Yeah, people were buying the cam links for $400.
Woo! Yeah. Man, it's craziness. All right, Ben wants to know Elgato or AverMedia.
Oh, don't make me do that. It depends on what you need. Like Elgato has a bunch of really cool products, and they're usually a little cheaper. If you're specifically looking for the 4K capture card, I think the Live Gamer 4K from AverMedia is better. Ultimately, I think it's better. But they both make like come and go products. Like I think Elgato's microphone is way better than AverMedia's microphone, but then certain capture cards from AverMedia is better than Elgato, and Elgato's doing this whole like Apple like ecosystem where you have their own key lights that are controlled by their Stream Deck, and you have their microphone that integrates with it now. So if you're looking for something that like cohesively works together, you're kind of starting to get stuck into the Elgato. Like you got to buy everything Elgato now, which is good and bad, but it makes people's lives a lot easier for sure.
Yeah, they are definitely building out their ecosystem over there for sure. Definitely. Yeah. Adam, are you a Starbucks person?
I am not. I drink water and Sunkist. Sponsor me, please.
All right, Ben wants to know Blackmagic or Zcam.
I'm going to have to say Blackmagic. I've actually been struggling with this a lot recently because I want, I showed you my cinema camera. That thing's like 20 pounds. It's got to stay on a tripod. That's pretty much all I can do. I want a handheld rig that I can do some more like run and gun stuff with. And I've been really struggling with this because the Zcam E2 does some really cool stuff. It does 4K at 150 FPS, so I can do like super slow-mo. It does a lot of really cool stuff. But and they just launched full frame cameras as well. But there are so many problems with their cameras that I am really like, I don't think I can buy one. Like there are so many little things that don't work how they're supposed to, that will break if you shut it down. It'll, their raw format isn't even supported in a video editor right now. You have to use their own app to color grade it and then bring it into video editor. Like there's so many little things that they need to polish on because they're such a new company and they've kind of just rushed out cameras that I don't think I can reasonably go with Zcam. And so if I'm recommending to other people, I would definitely say Blackmagic. I don't think most people need like the cinema camera line, like the Ursos, like the Pocket 6K and 4K are phenomenal cameras. Mm-hmm. But at this point, I think I've reached the point of I don't think I recommend Zcam to pretty much anyone at this point.
Okay.
That sucks because they're so affordable. Like it's so crazy, but they need some polish first.
I mean, if you're missing stuff, you're missing stuff. I mean, nothing you can do about that. All right. Next question from Ben again. He wants to know Rode Video Mic NTG or D3 Pro?
Ooh, I'm gonna go with the D3 Pro. I don't really have a reason for it. I just really like what Deity's doing right now.
Me too.
Yeah, they're doing some really cool stuff. They've got a couple really cool microphones coming. I can't talk about, but they're really exciting. So that will be cool to see. But they just kind of like showed up and started innovating a lot, and I really like what they're doing. And so I just want to support them. Like overall, you're going to get mostly probably the same results, but support a company that's doing new stuff that's actually challenging Rode, because Rode didn't really have any competition for a while in that space.
Right. So speaking of DAT, they just released recently, or they're going to release pretty soon. I think it's the D4 Duo or the Duo or something like that. It's
I really hope I can get that soon.
It's like a two-way mic. You get audio input on both ends, so you like turn the camera around and still get audio without like losing audio quality by rotating the camera. What do you think about that, Mike?
I'm kind of annoyed that it took until 2020 for someone to solve this problem. I don't know how many of you watch Caleb Pike's DSLR video shooter channel, but at one point he had featured a rig he made where he split out the microphone input and had two of those little shotgun microphones so he could have one pointing each way, and had this whole little rig on top of his camera specifically to solve that problem. And it's something so obvious. Like, there's so many people now that do vlogging where they're flipping the camera around back and forth, and you lose, you don't have the mic pointing at you both ways. That it's such an obvious thing to do that it's pretty cool. And I'm really stoked for it because I'm working on building a little like vloggy setup, and I pretty much have to flip the microphone every time, and it's just dumb. And then your gain levels are different because if you're holding it out here like vlogging, then you want high gain so that it's picking you up. But then when you have it right here as you're showing something else, then you're clipping the mic, and I'm really excited for it. The mic won't be super great if you plan on like setting your camera down somewhere and standing back from it because it's a little tiny shotgun. You need your mic as close to you as possible, but
right.
It's really cool. And like I said, I'm just annoyed that it took someone until 2020 to actually solve this problem for vloggers and content creators.
Yeah, like you said, the fact that Deity is innovating and coming up with new technology to make creators' lives easier is definitely legit, man. Can't argue with that.
Yep.
But Adam, what's that?
I was just saying, Rode should have done that like 5 years ago.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, they'll figure it out now because we know competition make things a little more interesting. So,
yeah,
definitely. But Adam, EposVox, thank you for joining me tonight, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Before we go, let the people know where they can find you at.
Find me over on YouTube, youtube.com/EposVox, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram. I'm trying to be everywhere. Floatplane, if you want early access and behind the scenes content. Everything /EposVox. I'm pretty much everywhere. If you're interested in learning to stream, make content, or just some cool tech stuff or retro gaming stuff over on Twitch or Instagram, hit me up.
Yeah. Nice. For those watching, if you want to go subscribe to him on YouTube, El Jefe just posted the link in the chat, so you can click on it, head over there, and check out his content. He's legit, very educational. I watched a few of his videos, especially when I was doing my research on the mic, like I said earlier. So I can vouch for him. He's legit. Shout out for those of y'all that watched the podcast live tonight. Thank you for hanging out with me and EposVox for another edition of VypDrive. I appreciate you guys. If you super chatted, if you brought me a coffee, if you became a channel member tonight, thank you for all of that. I appreciate you guys supporting me. Couldn't do it without you. So again, thank you very much. Shout out to those of y'all listening on audio only. Thank you for listening to another episode of VypDrive this week with me and EposVox. Thank you guys so much for supporting each and every week. If you want to go check out EposVox and his content, all of his information will be in the show notes. If you want to support the podcast, that information will be in the show notes as well. Again, not required, but anything that you can do, greatly appreciate it. Also, if you happen to be listening on Apple Podcasts, please make sure you consider leaving a rating or review. It helps more people discover the podcast, and it helps us get back into the top 200 of tech podcasts on Apple Podcasts. So definitely, if you listen and you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please consider leaving that rating or review. So thank you very much. Now. Yeah, do it now. But thank you guys again. I will be back early tomorrow. I think at 1 o'clock Eastern because we got Nikia Molina coming to the show tomorrow afternoon. So if you guys, for you all that would like to watch live, I'll be back tomorrow for VypDrive again. But until the next time, people, this your boy Viper, the man about tech. You know where to find me. So come back for more. Yo, Gabriel, thank you for the super chat, sir. Appreciate you, man. Woo. I'll catch y'all tomorrow.